Okay, so I've gotten some requests to do the Xenomorph Blighted Skin and the Xenomorph Deep Sea Skin. Now, I've looked, I can't find the models for those, and I do prefer to work in a 3D space. I know for the comparing William to the Midwich corpses, I did that in 2D, and I'm gonna probably end up doing a couple of these in the 2D space just because I can't find the models. I'm trying to figure out how to get DBD's models into like a model viewer, but that's taken a lot of time that I don't have. If there is a skin of a certain character you want, I will. I do have a Ko-fi account. It's linked, I think, in the bio of my YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Because while I have every killer unlocked, I don't have every skin for every killer unlocked, and I also still have work. So my time and resources are very, very limited. I did have some cells left over, and I did buy the deep sea xenomorph skin as the cheaper of the two. So I'll be looking at that. Today, I'm going to be doing the Flayed Torturer skin for Pyramid Head, which I already had. I got it when 2v8 came out with him. I don't know why I didn't do this one sooner, because as far as like anatomy analysis goes, this is like the perfect skin for it. But like I said, I could find the original default skin. I couldn't find any of the variants for it as a model to look at, so you'll have to bear with me as I try to do this in Krita. And a Discord member is helping me trying to get some of the footage. Melody helped me with Xeno. I did this one on my own. I got DBD for $20 on Steam. My computer does not appreciate DBD and OBS running at the same time, so my video came out like 5 frames per second. Also want to note, I've already had to go into Canva and brighten all these because I didn't think about going to Eerie of Crows, the brightest map in DBD, so the ones came out pretty dark. So let's start with the front. His legs and boots are pretty much the same as default, where you got like the butcher's apron and you have the black boots, so there's nothing to look at there. The most interesting thing for this is flayed is correct. He's been flayed open. So looking at just this one, it might need a brighter purple. Let's start with here. So these are abdominal muscles. Those are the obliques. This is where he got flayed. You can see tendon, or it could be a ligament. I'm not sure if this is a tendon or a ligament. They always kind of hard for me to decipher which is which. But you can see where it's still attached to his body here and here. And then the skin that got cut off is drooped over his waist. So this that's hanging down here like an apron, covering his real apron, is his torso skin. That's dangling off here, 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 and you can see how it's just hanging off by the tendon and ligament. Interesting choice of nail. I believe those are rail ties. When I was looking at them, I believe those are rail ties. His right arm's got a shackle on it for some reason. Now, chains are also a very Silent Hill-esque thing. So let's look at him from a different angle. Another rail tie. It's chained up to the helmet. He's kind of got the spring trap lean going on, but for a different reason. His pectoral muscles. And here you can see that's his actual pants, and then his flayed skin is hanging over his pants. They're weighed down by chains. It doesn't stop the arms from flopping around now. See rail tie here. See, that looks like a rail tie. Over here too. Now this, like getting a better look at the skin apron. Let's call it a skin apron. So wet, as it should be. You can see just how visceral it is. It's very wet, very red, very bloody. You still see some ligaments and tendons attached to it. You can see the stretching that's going on here. The stretching here and here. All from the weight of the chains pulling on it. It's less stretched up here, and I have different angles of this, but you'll really see it. But you can also see from this angle his lean. You just follow the oblique line here. Let's see. Let's try. Yeah. Springtrap has a lean too, but unlike Springtrap, you can see Pyramid Head's top half is where it should be. Most of his lean comes from his core, his torso, because the weight of the helmet for one, and then the weight of the great knife. And yes, that is the actual official name, is the Great Knife. Funny point, back in the day, in the original Silent Hill 2, you could grab his knife. And they did it different in the remake, where you have it for like one scene. In the original, you could actually just steal his great knife and use it as an actual weapon. It was hilarious watching James tug and drag that thing. It was miserable. I mean, you moved at like a foot a minute. But it was an interesting experience. I kind of wish they kept it in. His back. You can see that. You can see that lean here too. Now here, you can see how the tricep here tucks in. Let's see, get my bearings straight here. This is the tricep. You can see the bicep here, the back of the tricep. This is the shoulder, and you can see the shoulder here. Probably should have just used different colors for different muscle groups, but okay. This, I think, I could be wrong, I'll have to look it up. This white area is either fat, a ligament, or a tendon. I want to say it's kind of a fat pocket, but I'm not sure. You can see his elbow here. See the trapezius muscle here. And they're kind of stretched weird too, because he's leaning. And you can see all the rail ties. See the shoulder muscle here. Yeah, this is the trap, I believe. It's easier to see on this side. Let's see. Trap. The back of the tricep. Now I have to look up. You see the muscle here is coming down, and then you can see where he's been flayed on the back too. And as a matter of fact, he's got a loose fold of skin right here, just dangling. The chain coming in and out with a tie there. You can see where he's been, the cross section of his skin and where his skin is dangling, where he's been flayed. You can see it easier on this one. Let's see. And this big black bag is actually from the original design of Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2. He had like a big bulbousy like sack of flesh that would stick out underneath the helmet on the backside. You can see that curve. You see the curve really well on this side, on this angle. So you can really see here the back of the trap, or the tricep, not the trap. Let's go back to Noxious Green. This is a perfect example of the shoulder muscle here. His elbow is here. And I can't remember the name of the forearm muscles. I'll have to look it up, but you can see how they're stretched here. Now this, and I gotta have a bit better picture, but I'll just point it out now. This that looks kind of like a bracelet is that is a carpal ligament, like the ligament for your ham bones. So that's not a bracelet. That's actually a you'll see it in a better picture, but just an FYI, that weird white bracelet is actually a ligament. Okay, yeah. It would be in the next section. So carpal ligament here. These white streaks that you see here are tendons, I believe. So it's not like part of his glove or anything. Those are actual like they're actual tendons. See more rail ties back there, more chains. You see a rail tie up here. Getting in close. Oh, that's not a rail tie. That's a, it looks like a screw or something. Like you would hang a planter from. These, and I'm sure somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but they look like arteries or veins, one of the two. Let's see, so you can see how you can see how you can see how the shoulder muscle, oops, need a bigger desk. I need more room. You can see how the shoulder muscle comes down here. Let's see. Divide. Now, this is very important if you ever want to do human-based anatomy or anything that's humanoid, to know what tucks under what. Because if you go to make it and you do it reversed, it looks really weird. Doing humans is very, very difficult because if you mess up on just the littlest thing, we as humans can pick it up, and that's also why I never really gave Scott a lot of problems over like scrap trap, because humans are just hard. See the division here. And when I redo, or not redo, when I try to do kind of like a scrap trap correction, I'm not doing anything from scratch, because if I do something from scratch, chances are it's gonna look almost exactly like Scott's version of scrap trap, and then it kind of defeats the purpose. See the rib cage. These are very noticeable in more muscular, I wouldn't say people, I'd say men, because once you start getting rid of body fat and pumping up muscle, this division right here is very noticeable. And of course, Pyramid Head kind of gets a freebie because he doesn't have any skin, so we can just see the muscle. Yeah, here's the better, slightly blurrier version. It's hard to see, and some of these are going to be hard to see because Pyramid Head's helmet is constantly going to be in the way. You can see kind of a muscle divide here. Let's see. And here. And then down here. When people get so muscular, there's a point where you can actually see like a divot in the muscles of a single muscle group. So it's more common right here, where you'll see like a very defined line here where this one is. And we'll put pictures up like always so I can post, edit, correct myself for all the screw ups. You can almost see here and then down here, and then you can see a definitive line. So this rail tie is kind of throwing me off too, because I can't see what's supposed to be there. But you can also kind of see a divide here in the tricep. And then, okay, so this is the bicep, I believe. The bicep, the tricep. Now the elbow is one of those joints where kind of like everything meets. The elbow is about right here. your forearm muscles. Now this is, okay, hold on. This is also a very strange angle. I got. Let's see. Let's see the pec. Let's see, this would be the rib cage here. See the rib cage, the muscles over the rib cage, the obliques, or the abdominal, the oblique, abdominal obliques. There we go. And these would be where the ribs are. His flayed skin with all the tendons and ligaments stretching. And then you see one of the chains attached that's causing the stretching. Man, look how wet that looks. And I know when I loaded it, I was having fun with Pyramid Head by like swinging him around because his little flesh apron arms swing. So... see more of those ties back there. Oh yeah, this was where I saw the flay. Okay, so his shoulder muscle is stretched really far. Unsurprisingly. As a matter of fact, hold up. I don't think that's his, I think that might be part of his neck. It's weird. It's either part of his neck or his shoulder, I can't tell. This would be so much easier if I actually had the model. I think that might be part of his neck. I'll have to look it up too, because I think his shoulder is right here. So I think this might be part of his neck that's just stretched out. This is a perfect example of his arm though. So there's always like a groove right here. If you look at your elbow, you can see it. It's kind of where the attachment points for muscles are, because his elbow is like right there. So the tricep always tucks under just about everything. The bicep, my bad. You can see it's dark, but you can. I'm going to redraw this because there's a dark area right here that you can't see. Again, this is why 3D is so much better. It's about right here. I guess it would have to be your shoulder. I'm trying to wrestle a cat while I'm doing this. Not fun. So here, damn it. It's gonna be harder now that I have a cat sitting on my lap. Okay, so right here, that's the bicep. I don't know what kind of bee that was. Bicep. The bicep, as you can see, is tucking under his shoulder. Now, when I was trying, because I've also bought several anatomy books and sculpting books for anatomy, and I've done everything I can to try to figure out how to model and sculpt humans It just wasn't in the stars for me to ever figure that out. But something that's always confused me are the lower arm muscles, because you can see where they are coming up. And there's typically a divide about right here. Yeah, it creates a V-shaped divide, which you see. Here. So part of the forearm wraps around back towards the elbow and comes down. And understand, explaining this is a lot easier than actually having to try to sculpt and model this. So like I know what it does, I know where it is, but getting it to work for me as I'm modeling it seems to be incredibly difficult for me. So this comes, it wraps around because it's divided. It's divided into two sections if I can get this to work for me. I somehow have ADHD and OCD at the same time. There. Close enough. So part of it comes and wraps this way. And then you can see it over here. Where it kind of does the exact same thing over here. And this is part of knowing what tucks under what and what goes where. Comes in handy. More ligaments down here, or tendons, I think. I'm very confused about this though. If this is the bicep, it has to tuck under the shoulder, so this has to be his like shoulder, but why is the shoulder blown out like that? Like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to look that up. Like, you know, and you see his tricep back there. And then you see ring, chains. Now this is very interesting. You can see where he got flayed. Ignore my baby Dweet's hand. Now I got a cat laying on my arm. Okay, so this, you can see where the cut line is. Where his skin was cut. Given where this is, that's the palm of his hand. So this is the underside of his arm. And then this would be his shoulder. And then everything else just kind of folded over on top of it. Interestingly enough, and again, this was back 10 plus years ago, so take it with a grain of salt. When we were taught texturing and UV, this is kind of what your UV and texture would look like. It would look like something that had been skinned and laid open. And we were always told, because there would be a seam, hide the seam where nobody would see it, like hairlines, back of the head, armpits, anywhere where clothes and or armor would cover. You can do seamless textures, they're harder, and not every texture can be seamless, so it's just interesting the way, I mean, that worked out for him. And then he, Also want to note this, the big spike in the back actually goes all the way through his torso. Because I wanted a real number on him. Yeah, it's this one right here is the one that goes all the way through. And while I've got this pulled up, this lean that you see, this constant lean, is partially, I believe it's because of the weight of his helmet, but also because of the great knife. So he's kind of leaning towards he's leaning towards the side over here with the great knife. Unlike Springtrap, who had like a completely shattered and broken pelvis. Or it was broken, it wasn't shattered. It broke down the middle. So, there you go. Man, I do prefer my 3D models. Yeah, that's Flayed Pyramid Head, or Flayed Torturer, Executioner skin. I still have the Deep Sea Xenomorph, a rebuild of Scrap Trap, and the FNAF lore, which is still still gonna take a while. But if you're interested in any other skins, I will try to find them on 3D models first, and if I can't, I'll just have to resort to doing it in 2D like this. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if there's anything you want to see.